Looking to grow a construction company that doesn't involve you fighting fires day in and day out, I'm going to share with you how to run a successful construction company 2.0 coming at you. So running a successful construction company is a challenge, to say the least. There's a lot more challenges within the construction industry than most other types of businesses that you're going to start. And as you know, being effective and growing a sustainable, large construction business is very difficult. So I'm sharing with you 6 key things that you need to think about, how to run your business effectively, make sure that you're profitable, making money, putting money in the bank, being a high-level leader, as well as not spending all of your time just heads down the business. You're actually thinking about the big picture. So before we get started, give this video a big thumbs, likes up. Super appreciate you for doing that. Subscribe to the channel. Best way to grow your contracting business. So first thing that I'm going to talk about is you've got to push through challenges. Yes, everybody knows that, but there's a specific way of how to do this. So it involves first and foremost your mindset. So there's going to be challenges. I've lived through so many, getting those calls from clients where you've tarped up for the night and then it's like, oh, we've got a leak. We got a leak onto our floor. Guys are quitting, anything and everything. Raw materials showed up at site. So you've just really got to take it with a grain of salt, keep a positive mindset, and maybe leads aren't coming in, whatever might be happening. You want to be thinking upstream and you want to be thinking in a systems mindset. So it's inevitable. Challenges, problems, things are going to come up. It is business, it is construction. It comes with the territory. You can reach out for help. And what I mentioned earlier about upstream is you've got to think about what's the cause of this issue. So, you have a leaking, tarp hoarding, or if you've got a bad client or you've got no leads coming in, whatever it is, think upstream. What's causing this? How can I, counteract this? How can I create a system so that there's some consistency so that I'm not having to go through this again? New problems are good problems, but the same problem over and over and over, a horrible way to run a business. So if you're running into the same thing over and over again, you need to stop what you're doing and figure out, why is this happening? Why am I running into these problems constantly? So you got to push those challenges first and foremost to run a successful construction company and do it in a system and upstream way. Moving on, still with me here. Number 2, estimating. So estimating is the end all be all of profitability. Now, there's lots of other things that obviously go into it, but if you've estimated projects right, then you're going to be making money on the tail end. And a lot of contractors, I did this too when I got started, was, you've got 1,000,001 things to do, and estimating is one of them that you don't want to do, but you need to do it effectively. And trying to cut corners or just do estimates quickly without the proper checks and balances just sets you up for failure when you actually move into the project. I'm sure you've probably estimated a project, got into it and realized, oh, I forgot something, or this took twice as long as I planned. My labor is just, shot on this project now. I'm not going to make any money, right? So estimating is so important. Generally speaking, you maybe heard me say this before, but make sure you're charging enough. And we're going to be getting into that a little bit later, knowing your numbers and, figuring out exactly which numbers you need to be knowing about. You need to be able to charge enough to make sure you're profitable, that you're paying for your time on a project. So your project management time, because if you're just taking, overhead and markup and then hoping you make enough money at the end, you have no idea actually what you need in order to run a successful business. Things to speed up your estimating and make sure that you're doing it properly is getting templates in place. Templates are super important because they give you some consistency. They also provide a checklist of things that if you have a templated project and you're going through, a new estimate, it's going to have a whole bunch of stuff in there you're going to have to think about because it's in your template. Even if it's not in this project, at least you're not going to be missing things, or the likelihood that you are missing things is a lot less if you've got great templates in place. It's the first one. The second one with estimating is your cost database. So having a really good cost database, labor rates, material rates, where to find material pricing, because it's changing all the time. There's a lot of great software and programs that have this available. I don't suggest it, but if you really have to, just go into the Home Depot or Lowe's website to look up pricing. Is a database in itself, but you should have your own internal database for a lot of your multipliers and your cost codes and everything like that, to make sure that you are pulling from sound data so that when you are estimating a project, it's current and it's correct. Does that make sense? Third thing that I'm going to talk about is allowances. This can often happen where you're estimating a project, but you don't know what the client is going to want in the project. What kind of bathtub do they want? What kind of flooring do they want? What kind of lighting fixtures they want? So you need to do an allowance of a certain amount. They can, pick stuff up to that allowance. So it's very important to make this clear, because going into a project, estimating something with a fixed price and the client's thinking this is going to cost me $40,000. And then you get into it and all of a sudden they want, $20 per square foot tile or $300, light fixtures throughout the whole house. So making sure that you have allowances in there and stipulate that the allowance covers, lighting fixtures up to $150 per fixture, or it covers tile up to $7 per square foot or whatever. If they go above that, then you charge more to make sure you're staying profitable and they're not nickel and diming you and getting really high finishes and you feel like you're on the hook to stick to that fixed contract price. So make sure that's important. And then PM time, so project management time, crazy important. And I get pushback from contractors on this. I'm not sure why. I think it's just like a mindset thing, but make sure that you're charging for your time as a project manager. So if you don't have project managers, if you haven't hired like a team of people yet and you're just still kind of doing all the management, maybe you have site foreman or superintendent or whatever, but make sure you're charging for project manager time, not just taking it out in the overhead markup, because you don't know how much time you're spending on projects. You've got no historical data. So make sure you're putting in probably 1 to 2 hours a day to project that, calling clients, making selections, getting materials to site, organizing your guys. There's a whole bunch of scheduling and different stuff that goes into project management. So make sure you're charging an hourly rate for it. If you don't want to put project management on your estimate because you feel the client not going to like it for some reason, although pretty much any client that you want should understand that management is a very big component to a successful construction build. So they should be happy for you to break that out, at least have it as a line item, project management for the project. And you should be charging, so your rate, $80, $100, $120 an hour probably for project manager, and then your overhead and markup go on top of that. So spend a bunch of time on estimating, but does this really make sense? Like, the estimating is so important to running a successful construction business because it's so easy to take on projects or underbid projects. And then, contractors wonder like 3 months, 6 months, a year later when these projects start coming through or you start finishing off that new home build, it's like, I don't have any money left for this, or I'm out of money. And then you rush to get more projects in, estimate more projects to get more deposits and more money flowing. And it's just like a continuous cycle of underbidding to having cash crunches to like trying to bring in new projects quickly. So really get your estimating in place and it will totally change your contracting business. So still with me here, moving on to number 3. Like I said, I've got 6 coming up here. Make sure you stick around for all 6 because each one is cumulative, every piece of the puzzle to get the full picture of a successful business. So number 3, the one that probably my favorite, if you know me, start systems early. So no matter where you are in your business, if you've been in business for 1 year or 30 years, start building systems, start systems early before you hire someone, before you put a whole bunch of advertising out there, before you grow your business. Systems right first, because that will facilitate your growth. It may seem like you will be moving faster if you bring in larger projects or a bunch of new projects and you bring in a bunch of revenue sales and you feel like you have that cash crunch right now, or that's really what you need. Often what you need though is that's just going to expand your problems, because if your business is not profitable now, or you're already putting out a lot of fires, or you're already super busy in your business, trying to grow and scale and bring in more people, more revenue, more sales, it's just going to compound the problems that you have, and your capacity is just, you won't be able to solve it. I've seen this happen where the ratings, the reviews, the quality of the contractor just plummet because they've grown their business to a place that hasn't been able to scale properly. And I've had this happen to me too, where we tripled our revenue in 1 year, and it was great bringing a lot of money, but at the end of the year, I didn't make anything more. I actually probably made less than when I was a smaller contractor, and I wasn't at a level of my leadership capacity or my systems capacity to facilitate that much growth, and it really hurt me in the long run. I wish I would have put systems in first, so that's what I talk about now, is getting your systems in early. The systems that you want to have in place is a project management software, so Contractor Foreman, Builder Trend, Procore. If you're on the trade side, there's Jobber, House Call Pro, those kind of things. So get a good project management software in place. If you're not sure which one, comment below. I'll be happy to help you out. Tell me what your business is and what you do, and I can suggest some software for you to check out. But make sure that you have a good project management software. The $200, $300, $400 you pay per month for it is going to, pay for itself with save time, professionalism, consistency, all those things that come along with having good software system in place. The next thing, the quickest way to systematize a business, software aside, software is good, but it's just a tool, right? It's like having tools on site doesn't mean you're going to have a house built, right? you have to have the know-how and the ability to use the tools effectively. So the quickest way to systematize a business is to build an SOP, standard operating procedure, and create a training video. So those two things right there are going to help you systematize your business. And the way to do this, so SOP, it could be for, like, there's all the on-site stuff, and I actually suggest you do that later, because that stuff is usually on-site, learning and stuff like that by the carpenters and things like that. You can build that out later. The best SOPs are for your internal processes, that your admin stuff. So it could be things like how to import a new client. Estimating is a big one that's pretty easy actually to build an SOP for. But what you want to do is just create a list, pick out like the 5-10 items top of like, what's the steps? You get the information, you open the program, you go through the template, whatever. So pick out the 5 to 10 main steps. Don't worry about having super detailed descriptions. At the beginning, you just want big step, a little bit of a write-up, maybe a few little sub steps to get it done. And then from there, you can always build on it later. But at least that gives you a process. It's thought out. And if you hire someone or you delegate it to someone on your team, they at least know which order to do things in, and they can ask questions. And that leads me to my second thing, is then you want to create a training video. So just do a quick screen share with to do a training video, show you doing your estimate, show you maybe on site with your phone or whatever. Just do a quick training video of you doing the actual work or one of your people doing the actual work. It's a really easy, quick way to create a document and a training video, and you're off to the races with systematizing your business. Is that making sense? Again, any questions, check out the description. Got links in there to reach out for some help with all of this. So the last thing I'm going to talk about with systems is marketing. Marketing is huge. And the reason that I'm not talking about marketing too much and what it takes to run a successful construction company is because running the company is kind of after the marketing. I consider sales and marketing to be like preliminary. So yes, you need that lead flow, you need that cash, that money coming in. But for running the business from the day to day, marketing should be something that's systematized and most likely delegated. You should still be, probably the main salesperson and be very involved with your marketing, branding, and sales, but it should be systematized. It's been done a lot of different ways, but ideally, the thing you want to be thinking about is how can I do the work once and continue to get paid for it, or for it continue to operate in perpetuity forever and ever and ever, right? So instead of posting stuff every day, you should be able to just quickly take a picture, maybe jot down an idea, and then send it off to someone who's got a design guide or something that can get out those social media posts. YouTube videos are great because they are evergreen content that lives on YouTube. So creating videos that can just continually be there that people can search for. A website, SEO, ad spend. So getting some ads in place. You want to have marketing that is multi-channel, email marketing, systematized. So it's set up in systems and you got processes for it. So you can delegate it to someone, hire an agency, get that off your plate, because like I said, marketing is super important, but you as the owner should not be in the nitty-gritty of the sales and marketing if you want to grow a large, successful business. Not going to be a dead horse there and keep going on marketing, super important, but check out some of my other marketing videos if you want more help with that. Number 4. So moving on to number 4, still with me here. Like I said, get to number 6. I guarantee you'll be successful because you're awesome. Number 4, invest in great people. The most successful people that I respect invest in people, invest in great people. And as you know, having some guy that just really doesn't care, doesn't get it, isn't picking up on things is just a detriment to the company, and their production is just so much lower than someone who's actually involved and with the company for the long term, who wants to learn, who wants to do well. Really invest in your people and they will invest in your business, and magic will happen. Systems and people, those are the two big things. Hiring slow, so don't wait until you're just crammed with work to hire a little bit early. Understand that it's going to impact your cash flow and maybe you won't have quite enough work to go around, but be willing to hire early, because that way you can take your time hiring someone who actually, is good for the company, not just someone who's a warm body to get into place to push out some production. Always be hiring people thinking that they're going to stay around for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, right? You don't want to be hiring people thinking, this guy's probably going to, bugger off in a couple months, or once the summer, busy season's over, if he quits or leaves, or I fire him, no big deal. That kind of mindset is just going to put a bad culture, and you're not going to be looking for those really A players, those key players. You want to be bringing A players into your business, and if they happen to be B players, they should want to be A players. Those people that want to be better, they want to learn, they've got a future ahead of them. And then once they're in your company, build them, add to their success, invest in their training, invest in their, just their mental faculties, be willing to time and energy into helping them, coaching them, building them into better carpenters, managers, design people, whatever, whatever position they are, and always be improving your leadership abilities. So the kind of level of capacity of your business is very much affected by you as the leader. Think of like your favorite entrepreneur, one of the entrepreneurs that, has grown a very large business or that you respect. If we took you out of your business right now and put that entrepreneur in there, do you think that they would be able to build a much larger, faster, quicker, better business than you? Probably. So your business, the marketing, the sales, the people, the economy, whatever it is, that is not the issue in your business as far as the growth capacity. It is you as the leader. So invest in yourself, invest in your leadership. That'll trickle into the leadership you provide for your people and enable them. When you start investing in people, they really pick up on that and they will be very thankful. And even if they don't stay with your business for, forever, that relationship and that investment that you made in them, even if they're not working in your business, you're going to be surrounded by amazing people, and you never know who comes through your business that can possibly be a very good ally in the future. Maybe they go on to another business in sales or marketing or whatever, and you're able to continue that relationship even past your business. So invest in great people. That's number 4. Number 5 coming at you here. We got 5 and then 6 right after that. Know your numbers. I alluded to this on the first point, but know your numbers. So key, and the specific numbers that you really need is overhead is the first one. You need to have your accounting organized, up to date. For one, if it's not up to date, get that up to date as quick as possible. But your overhead is so important because you need to make sure that you're charging enough on your estimating, which you mentioned earlier. And a lot of times, if you haven't done the calculation, you don't know what percentage of your revenue is your overhead. Is it 2%, 5%, 10%? If your overhead is 5% or 10% and you're only marking up estimates like 15, 20%, well, you're not really making a lot of money, especially if you're not putting in the project management time, like I told before, then you are not making any money. And that's pretty much the reason why, is that you're not accounting for your overhead properly, or you don't know your overhead. So keep track of that. Lead flow is also a big one. So how many new leads on average are coming through your business? And it's very easy to run the numbers once you know your acquisition costs for acquiring a new client. So let's say it costs you $1,000 to bring in a new client. On average, your average client, maybe you're doing a $100,000 project. What is that ratio? And then what's your lead flow? Are you getting maybe 5, 10, 20 new leads, qualified leads every month? If you doubled that, will your revenue double? And what are your costs? Can you afford to maybe, instead of $1,000 for the acquisition costs, can you put more money into marketing? And maybe it'll cost you more per acquisition, but you're able to grow your business larger, your profit margins, capable enough for that. So once you start knowing these numbers, it's very easy to see the future as far as if I invest here, or I put this in, or maybe this is too high and I bring it down. You can start adjusting the levers and pulling the levers and start foreshadowing of your future, instead of just kind of guessing I'm just going to spend a bunch of money here and hopefully I get new clients and it grows my business. It's just a lot of guesswork if you don't know these numbers. Those are big ones. And then the final 2 that I'm going to mention here for know your numbers is your profit, of course, and your profitability. So knowing that you made $50,000 in profit or $200,000 in profit at the end of the year, yes, that's good, but you need to know these things as a percentage, because as you grow, the business will grow and hopefully always be growing. But if it goes down or up, the percentage of your profit, percentage of revenues, those are numbers that you need to know, because you want to be looking at are we getting more profitable or less profitable? And that'll alert you to disasters. And you always want to look at the trailing 12 months as well. So I'm telling you a lot here, but as you can see, there's a lot that goes into running successful business. And if this is all you're scratching your head and not knowing about this, pick out one of these, do them one at a time, or reach out for some help. Love to have a conversation with you. Check out the links in the description below. Reach out, drop a comment, and I'll be happy to help you with this. But those percentages are so important. And like I said, the trailing 12 months, because as you know, 1 month you could be $20,000 in profit. The next month you might be minus $20,000 of profit. So month to month, it's just like the stock market, right? It's not helping you anything. It's just going to give you anxiety if you're watching month to month. You want to look at the trailing 12 months. So you 12-month periods of what is happening. And that'll give you trajectories. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it going up and down? All those different things. So number 6, 5 is over. Let's move on to number 6 here. So this is a huge one. build your success team, build your team. This is different than invest in great people. That is about employees. Build your team is your team of professionals, your team of your, referral partners, your power network, as I call it. And this is some key people you want to have on your team is a really good accountant, because an accountant is going to explain number 5 that I just mentioned, know your numbers. They're going to understand that like the back of their hand and know exactly and be able to tell you, this is how much you're spending, this is how much is going up, this is how much going down. They're going to be able to translate all that kind of, numbers, jargon, graphs, charts, and all that stuff. Not that you shouldn't understand it. They will be able to understand it at a level that you don't really need to, and be able to give you some really sound advice from that. So a really good accountant, an advisor, so mentor, coach. I'm, obviously privy to coaches, being a coach myself and helping clients with systematizing their business. But if you're not really willing to invest the money, in a paid coach or advisor right now, although return on investment for a good one is always much, much more than you're ever going to spend. A good advisor way to do this is think of a past maybe employer or a business owner that you really respect, that has a business that's maybe at a little bit higher level, or he's been in business a little longer than you, somebody that you really respect and admire, and it does a good, job at running their business. So just reach out to them, see if you can take them for lunch, talk to them about, not being something too formal where you're clinging on to them, but just ask them, like, hey, I'm growing my business. Sometimes I have questions. I see you're doing a great job. Do you mind, maybe we get lunch every quarter or every 6 months, or maybe if I have a specific question, you mind if I email you? Something like, just letting them know like that you really want to learn from them, but not that it needs to be some big formal thing. Get a good advisor on your team, or multiple, as long as they're not at odds with each other, but good advisor. The third one is a really good marketer. So marketing and sales. If you're like myself, I came up on the tools and started kind of learn from scratch anyways, as far as like running a business and marketing and sales and all this, system stuff and all that kind of thing. But have a really good marketer, branding person on your team, someone who can, maybe you can hire as like an agency, or just someone who has like really good, like a marketing advisor, or really does marketing really well. Again, if you see someone who has really great branding and marketing in their company and you're like, how do you do that? Take them out for lunch, ask them to share some of their tips with you. Next thing I'm going to mention with your, build your team. Your team is super incredibly important. If you think of like Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, these kind of shows, you see the sharks there, and yes, they have a ton of knowledge. They're not, going to be hands-on with every business. They have amazing teams, and the reason they become so successful is because of the people they know. So this leads me into my next thing, is referral partners. So you should always be looking to network with people, have really good referral partners. Typically, these are people that are going to have similar clients to you, although they are not in direct competition with you. So as a general contractor, it could be real estate agent, could be architects, could be designers, a whole bunch of different things. If you've got a trades business, what other trades, have similar clients to you? Maybe the trade that comes before you, trade that comes after you, and just work out a relationship with them, see if you can refer business back and forth. And it's a really good way to bring consistency to your process, get, referrals, which are super strong leads. Plus these people can be advisors as well, because they're in business and they have opportunities and know about things that you don't. Really good people to connect with is your referral partners. And then the final thing is a really good staffing agency. So you may think like, I just want to do the hiring myself. I'm good with people. I understand people and things like this, but a good staffing agency, there's going to be a limit to your ability to bring in great people. And as good, we often have a bias towards ourselves of like that we're good with something, especially people and interpersonal connections and relationships. Having a good staffing person, especially for key things, because there's going to be a point in your business, like maybe you're hiring carpenters and some crew foremen, so it's, not too involved. Once you start hiring like project managers, designers, senior managers, general managers, these types of people, they're probably going to be at a level that you maybe haven't reached or worked in larger businesses than yours is right now. So it may be a little difficult for you to be able to understand like what really makes that good person and what does that role or position really entail, because maybe you've grown your business to the extent that you need new levels of leadership, of management that you've never really, you've maybe experienced it yourself, but you've never really hired or managed someone for. So having a good staffing agency to be able to pull in really top talent is super important. So I hope those 6 really helped you. Make sure you check out the links in the description below. I've got great resources on how to systematize your business, free course, free templates, whole bunch of great stuff. And as always, check out these other videos. See you on the next one. Here's to your success.